Bannerlord is finally coming out of early access, and whether you've been waiting for the official launch this entire time or finally coming back to the game, it can be confusing to play your first campaign. In this video, I want to help you navigate the landscape of Calradia by giving you an introduction into some basic UI elements, character creation, how the skills in the game work, breaking down some other mechanics, and then close the video out by giving you some tips to get your first character off to a good start. You can quickly navigate to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. Also, if you're watching this before picking up Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, or you want to help support the channel, you can find a link to my Nexus store to buy the game through. Nexus gets a Steam key directly from the developer, and I get a cut of every sale, which directly goes towards my puppy's treat addiction. As always, guys, if you end up enjoying the content, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Help me fight the tyranny of the largest kingdom in Calradia, the YouTube algorithm. Well, let's get started on starting your first campaign in Bannerlord. Booting up the game, you are set with two options, either New Campaign, which is the story-driven campaign, or Sandbox. It removes the story and allows you just to kind of play the game without having to worry about the dragon banner. If this is your first time playing, probably go ahead and go with New Campaign because it does have a tutorial attached to it and all sorts of fun things. The campaign itself can be a little kind of wonky, but there have been a lot of passes through. There's going to be some voice acting added into it, I think, by launch and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and press New Campaign. And by doing this, you're going to get a really cool little intro sequence that gives you some context as to what's going on in the world. So go ahead and watch that. It's pretty spiffy. And once you go through here, you get the choice of choosing one of 6 different cultures. Now, these cultures will have no bearance on the actual campaign. There is arguably one culture that's kind of supreme, and it's Botanians, and it's just because of their 50% less speed penalty and 15% sight range bonus in forests. But honestly, go with whatever you want. Just make sure it's kind of in line with the theme you have for your character or whatever it is. I find that Bannerlord is better played when you role play both the character you have in mind. Like, okay, now you know what? I want to be from Valandia and I want to be an aspiring knight. Or you know what? I want to be an Imperial Legionnaire trying to come up in the world and become a prestigious general and maybe marry Rogia, the daughter of the last emperor. Whatever it is, when you play with that kind of mindset, you'll enjoy the game more than trying to min-max every little thing. Okay, I'm gonna go Botanian, and I'm only gonna get Khazad horsemen, and then I'm gonna get Valandian sergeants, and I'm gonna get tons of Master Aserai archers, and then Botanian noble units. Just don't worry about all those things. Play the culture that you want to play. Enjoy the game how you want to play it. So let's go ahead and just, I happen to just press Botania, and then make your character bald and bearded like myself, because why the hell would you play any character any other way other than bald and bearded? It is clearly the superior choice. I'm going to go with a little less ratty. We got to get a little tighter beard on this. And go with that. And there you go. There you go. Make your character however you want to make him. So really I have a post-processing thing called Reshade that does that sometimes. So the big thing here is character creation is going through this portion right here. And each one of these is going to give you focus points and attribute points. So here are your attribute points, and these little hash marks are your focus points. And we're going to go through these in the actual skill screen. But basically, each one of these little hash marks that enters is going to grant you 10 skill points in that respective skill. Now, your skill points are going to go up to like way in excess of 250. So don't necessarily worry about this too much in the sense that, oh, I created my character wrong, I have to restart. Don't worry. If you're watching this after you've created your character, just keep playing the game and enjoy yourself. Your attribute points are basically what increases the learning rate at which and the skill cap of that learning rate for your individual skills. Focus points do this as well, and I'll break those things down. But having very high vigor doesn't make you do more damage with your melee weapons. Same thing with control, not making it so that your range weapons do more damage, and same thing with endurance, not increasing your riding or run speed. It's the raw skill that does that. So if you're making your character and you're thinking, well, I really got to have a lot of vigor, and I don't want to be low, I want to be inept, I got to have high intelligence. Like, no, just don't worry about it. Those things just kind of govern skill caps and the rate at which you can earn experience for those respective skills within that attribute's governance. So just to kind of break that down for you. Also, it's a little bit of an RP stuff. One of these, how you're born into what family dictates the other options that you have along the way. And depending upon which culture you selected, you might have better chance of having polearm and riding if you went with Volandia. But with Britannia, maybe you have a different output. Sturgia, for example, is the only culture that can have 5 focus points into roguery at start. So just kind of go through this again, have a little bit of a mindset of what you want to do. If you want to think of this from a what's best min-max perspective, increasing your social and both your charm and leadership skills, trade kind of tertiary, is pretty good. Increasing your steward is very good, but steward will increase on its own very fast and naturally. Mainly people have always kind of, throughout the majority of early access, kind of focused on high social, kind of doing something like this. Kind of clicking through, figuring out which one. Yeah, probably something more like that. Maybe use one of these to focus on a specific combat skill. This one's actually not bad too, because by getting 10 more points into medicine has a very good talent point at 20 or 25, whichever one it is. This kind of puts you a little bit closer there, but you could also dodge it and be just fine. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe go with a two-handed character. And just, this kind of dictates what your armor and starting weapons are going to be right here. So if you want to have, say, like, I really want to be a rider on horseback, then just go with this. It's going to coincidentally give you bonuses for those two things. But if you look at this guy and go, well, I want his armament, but I don't want to use pole arms. Don't worry about it. It's not going to, like I said, it's not going to hinder you or prevent your game from really having any kind of early traction. Let's go with... I kind of liked this. We'll go with that guy right here. Oh no, train with infantry, that one. Now this one's different because young adulthood is going to then dictate some other things. So you're going to get your typical kind of skill points and focus points and everything, but you're also going to get renown. And renown dictates basically the level of your clan. Your clan, when I'm going to show that off to you just a little bit, is the overarching kind of, well, clan that everyone in your party falls under. Your personal party, your individual clans member that you can recruit and promote to their own little party leaders and everything like that. The clan is that kind of overarching structure underneath it. You start off as the head of a minor clan, and everyone interacts with minor and major clans throughout the game. But having high renown at the start allows you to get to the next clan level faster, but it's not necessary. You could go with the 5 renown. You're going to get to the other thing just fine. Also, this dictates your personality traits, like being generous, being merciful, or this one's makes you calculating. And these don't have a ton of variants right now, but there is some things in the future I think that are attached to them. I don't really know, to be totally honest, but let's just go ahead and I'll click one. We'll go with this one. This is going to give us a little bit of steward, which is going to make my party size bigger the higher I go, and it's going to increase my social a little bit. And then we'll do like subdued a raider maybe. Or you know what? There we go. We'll do that. Rode off on a fast horse. And we'll just auto-generate a name. Now I have some videos that will go through character creation individually. I've got some videos that will go through specific builds that I have in mind for like a Volandian Knight or other things of the sort, like the best starting build. And I have those linked at the end of the video to my entire playlist. You can find that in the upper right corner as well, so you can jump to those if you so wish. For your difficulties now, just choose probably freebooter to start off. You can change this at any point in the game. It doesn't have any effect on your achievements or anything like that. Just go with freebooter until you learn how to do combat. Combat has a steep learning curve in the beginning, and you will get punished. So some other things I want to show though are combat clan member death possibility in battles. So your clan members that you recruit, if you have this reduced by 100%, they will never die in battle. If you have it at realistic, they will probably die in battle. So I would keep this at reduced by 100%, especially for your first campaign till you learn the ropes. And because you don't want to have a really cool, important clan member that just ends up dying and now you can't use them anymore. They're gone forever. It takes a long time for them to kind of repopulate too. Hero deaths in combat. Now this is not you. This is everyone, including you. So disable hero deaths for all heroes, disable hero deaths for just you, or enable battle death for all heroes. So there's a certain percentage chance that any hero can die in combat. I think it's like something like a little under 5%. And this, if this happens with, say, a king, it causes a succession within the individual kingdoms of the realm. So I put this at disabled for now, and don't click auto allocate, and do not click Iron Man mode. This should be your kind of initial foray. Just go with freebooter, and then even if you want to go up in difficulty to Bannerlord, I would still keep these things like that until you learn the game, so that you don't get punished for not knowing and you lose clan members and you have people die and you're like, oh crap, I don't know what's going on. Then you just go ahead and press start game. The game's going to bring you through up to a certain point, which is going to bring you through some tutorial stuff. I would do the tutorial for your first time playing because it just shows you how to do combat. It's not going to dive into a ton of UI elements. It's just going to give you an idea of how combat works. For this, we're going to skip it and just skip right through it and jump on over to our main screen to start talking about some other portions of the game. So when we get to the actual full-on campaign screen, we're going to go over some UI elements. Now, this stuff on the lower left is all pretty self-explanatory. It's your relative screens. You press your buttons, it goes there, right? Your character screen, your inventory screen, party, quest, clan, everything like that. Now, I have the cheat console on, so things like this, ignore it. And like this, because you won't be seeing this in your game. But if we go over to the right side, we can see some things that are pretty important. Your current amount of money, your influence, which becomes important as you become a mercenary. If you're a mercenary, you'll get paid per day based off of your amount of influence you've got. And if you're a vassal, you'll use that influence as a currency to influence votes. You've got your hit points. You've got your total number of battle ready and your wounded troops, which can also be seen by holding down Alt. You'll be able to see some of that, and we'll go that in just a second. Food, which will give you your expected change, as well as how many food items you have, and what those food items are, and then days until no food. So, when you have a whole big army and you have a bunch of different food here, it'll just be really cool to see this at a glance, what you've got. But if you hover over, it'll tell you exactly how many days you have on that food you have in your inventory. Then you have got your party morale, which is going to be influenced by things like food variety, prisoners. Recruiting up some of those prisoners will influence your morale. You want to keep your morale as high as possible, because when you go into combat, this is where your morale is going to start at. Your speed. Now your speed is going to be influenced by a number of things. This says cargo within capacity. If it's over capacity, then it's going to greatly reduce your speed. Having more animals across cows, sheep, horses, than you have actual people in your army will cause what's called herding, and the magnitude of animals above people in your army will increase that herding amount, which is a penalty against you. But moving through trees, moving at night, moving through snow, those would all be examples of movement penalties. And then you would get bonuses for things like having horses in your inventory. When you also have soldiers on foot, they'll mount those horses as you move from place to place, but not actually in combat. So that can increase your movement skill. Actually having certain cultural bonuses or certain skills will increase your movement skill, your party speed. Then you have got your view distance. So this is based off of your scout skill. It's a base of 12. Your scout skill increases it from there. But it's not, I mean, you can clearly see everything on the map, but your viewing distance is how far you can see enemy parties. Then you'll be able to also see the direction in which they're moving. If they've crossed through a path, they'll leave a little trail if your scout skill is high enough, and you can get an idea for how big that party is. So this is just kind of what that is. Then lastly, you get your daily party wage, which is how much money your entire army is costing you per day. Holding down Alt, I'm going to go ahead and actually warp over to another part of the map over here. Let's go to, this is probably going to be pretty popping over here. I just want to see some other characters. Here we go. So if I hold down Alt, I get more information, right? Holding down Alt is going to give me my name, my party speed, but it also shows the party speed and names of people around me. Now at certain zooms, you can just kind of get a better idea of what's going around you. But this is really nice if you're trying to say hunt down this party in specific. Holding down Alt gives you an idea of, okay, well, I've got way more speed than them. I should be able to just hunt them down on my own, barring going through any kind of forests or anything like that. And if you hover over any of these parties, same thing with a city, a town or a city, holding down Alt gives you more information. So this went from just telling me, hey, there's 47 defenders. Well, there's actually 23 infantry soldiers and 24 range soldiers. Same thing over here. This actually gives me the exact troop types that are within that, as long as they are within my viewing distance. That's why that's an important little feature there. Now, one other thing I did want to go into, you do have your time controls right here. For 1 for pause, 2 for play, 3 for fast forward, and then your time of day. But if I press N, this brings up the encyclopedia. Now, there isn't a bunch of context clues that would tell you to use the encyclopedia, but the encyclopedia is an incredibly powerful tool in your repertoire. If you want to see any of the kingdoms and who they're at war with, you'd go here, you'd go there. Okay, that's who's at war with who. And I can see who the current leader is in case maybe he dies or whatever it is. If I want to find a specific character that is maybe a wanderer, so I can recruit them into my party, you'd go over here on your left side to your filters, enable Wanderer, and then you'd go ahead and just choose from this list. Typically, Aserai has some of the best Wanderers in the game, but they will kind of populate to and from. They'll kind of leave and come back to the game for you. But again, too, you can take a look at your different troop trees, like going into troops, then maybe clicking Aserai infantry. I can now see the entire infantry tree here. So it's a very powerful tool. And I think one of the biggest uses you'll use for it outside of wanderers is maybe finding a male or female to marry, because you then unclick wanderer. Let's click marital status not married. And let's just click female because my character's male. And then I can just choose any one of these characters to go and marry effectively. So these are all really important things, and the game doesn't really point you in the right direction of the encyclopedia, because if you want to say hunt down a specific character, let's find her. Okay, well, she was last seen in Tial today up here. Click that highlighted thing. Tial is right there. It has a little button for track. We'd click that, exit out, zoom all the way out, and Tial's right here. I mean, even if I zoom all the way in, it's going, it still has as an overlay on the map, which is really nice. So those are just some UI portions of the game I wanted to point out and kind of at least talk about, because the game maybe doesn't show them off quite as well, or maybe you didn't understand how they worked. One thing I don't think we'll see this early in the campaign is there is a denotion, I'm warping around the map here to try and find to see if there's any, of whether or not a party has prisoners. And you'd see that prisoners and wounded. Don't think we're going to see any. Yeah, well, if we were to hold down Alt, it would say 1 plus X number W for wounded plus X number P for prisoners. So if you see those when you hold down Alt, it's showing you the wounded and prisoner amount in that army, which are all pretty substantial things for your own army and for the opposition to either hunt them down. If there's prisoners, you will free those prisoners if you attack them. All very important things. So that just kind of gives you some good UI outlines. Moving here into the character screen, I want to go over your skills, your learning points, or I'm sorry, focus points and attribute points, as well as learning rate. That's a big portion of the game. So when you take a look here, you've got this little indicator that shows you your learning limit. We're looking at one-handed here. And then we also get our learning rate and the amount of focus points we have invested in this skill, as well as the total amount of skill points. Now, your level will be based off of your skill points. So, I'm sorry, your total experience gained, not skill points. Sorry, it used to be skill points. So you can see at the top here, even though it says XSP, think of it as XP. So the total amount of experience that you earn across all of your skills contributes towards your level. Not like Skyrim. Skyrim would do every time you level up a skill point, that contributes towards your character's level. No, any experience you get contributes towards your character's level, which is very nice. It used to be entirely different. So the difference, though, between here focus points and attribute points is how it increases your learning limit. That's very important. So your learning rate is how much experience you get whenever you get experience. So I'm getting I'm getting 4.5x every time I'm getting experience with my one-handed. Putting a focus point into this, you can see further increases this up to 5.75. That's a 1.25 gain. And putting another point into this, there it goes up to 7. Putting another point to this, brings 8.25. So you can see that it gives us 1.25 per learning point. Now, if I want to invest in an attribute point, attribute points govern sets of skills. So vigor will govern these skills, control these, endurance, so on and so forth. And giving 1 attribute point will give 0.5 learning rate in one-handed, two-handed, and polearm. So you can think of it this way, right? Attribute points are going to broadly increase your learning rate and broadly increase your learning limit. Focus points increase a specific skills learning rate and a specific skills learning limit. So you can see here, our vigor puts this learning limit up. Let's do it again here. It goes up just a little bit more. Goes up by 10, I believe, every time. Increasing our learning rate. Our learning limit is plus 80. Now it's a whopping plus 110. So you can see that every time we pop one in here, it's going to give us 30 more learning limit. And that's crucial because if you do not do this, and let's say we were at 60, so 60 is our total learning limit, and we were to get 61 skill, our learning rate drops. So your learning rate will stay high as long as it is below your learning limit. So you want to chase those two factors, increasing your learning limit so that your learning rate stays high by investing focus points in specific skills you want and attribute points to sets of skills that you want to focus on as well. Because you maybe say, you know what, I've got an attribute point, but I don't have any focus points and I'm near the learning limit for, let's say, a social skill charm. Well, don't have any focus points, go ahead and pop in that attribute point. It'll at least give you a little bit of breathing room, and it increases charm, leadership, and trade. So if you want to, say, focus on bow, one-handed polearm, or riding and athletics. Riding and athletics is a really good example of one case where investing in endurance is going to increase both learning rate and learning limit for both of these skills, and you're going to use them quite a bit, especially if you intend to be on horseback. You'll always need athletics because it helps you in so many ways. But that's a quick rundown of your character skills. I've done a big in-depth thing on this on its own video, but I wanted to give you that quick kind of brief idea of how this all works. Just invest in the skills that you want to play around with, and if you find that you don't really want to stick with them, go ahead and pivot to something else. The way the game works off of experience allows you to kind of pivot early in the beginning, a little bit harder in the mid to late game, but you might find yourself, hey, you know what? I'm a one-handed character that uses bows on horseback all the time, nothing else. But as you progress through the game, you might find, well, you know what? I'm going to go into polearm a little bit more. Because your learning rate will be so high, you'll get so much experience in this so quickly, it'll actually still advance your character. So do not feel like you're pigeonholed into a specific idea for a character and you have to restart. You can still pivot pretty late into the game, actually. But that is your quick skills rundown. Now that we've gone over some character skills, let's go ahead and take a look at our clan screen. Let's press L. Jumps into this screen, and we're going to look at our actual party. And I've gone ahead and recruited someone into our party just to kind of take a look at this, but let's go over to parties, and you see that we have our entire kind of party breakdown, the size, the wage, what each composition of our party is across every single soldier we've got, as well as the roles for your party. Now these will be pretty important because when you look at your skills, you'll see that some of them will have certain parenthetical notations. Personal, captain, you'll see party leader, you'll see governor, all those things. For all intents and purposes, when it comes to you, you want to worry about anything that says party leader or personal. Very rarely will you be the captain of a force unless you join an army. So that more applies to your companions. They'll be captains, they'll be governors, they'll be personal when it comes to your skills. And they also have another denotion. Let's go ahead and look at this one. This quartermaster / governor, right? Now quartermaster is a role. Same thing here with medicine. Surgeon is a role. Engineering says engineer. It's a role. You getting what I'm putting down here, brother? Scouting has got scout there. So when you pop on over to clan, look at your parties, you've got these roles, and it's important because now you can take a look at your character. Okay, well, I've got 10 steward. He's got 1. So I'm actually going to increase my party size by 2.5. It gives me a little tooltip. So I'm going to go ahead and put myself there. For scout, I don't know if this guy has any. Nope, he has 1. I've got 10. I'm actually better in this role. For surgeon, he's got 1, I've got 0. So technically he's better in this role than me. But he has 80 engineering. So, and it shows me the perks, right? Scaffold, siege works, military planner, effects, faster siege engine production, max difficulty of siege engine that can be built, 80. I got 0. So when you are setting up these roles, make sure you look at what members you've got and you put the right ones in the right spots. Otherwise, This assumes that you will be in charge of that role and you'll earn skill points in that role, which is not a bad thing. But if you have a scout who's really, really good, put him in the scout role or else you will not take advantage of his skills. So this is something I really wanted to point out because you will be using those companions of yours and you will be placing them in these roles. I would definitely recommend you to keep yourself as the quartermaster because the quartermaster can increase the party size. And this way you don't need to worry about spending a point on wasting a slot on a companion for this. All you need to do is just go get a bunch of different types of food. It's called food variety. It would look like this. See, that says food variety -2. And I'll give you a full-on example by going to inventory. We're just gonna, this is again from the cheat console. You won't be able to do this on your own. But if I hover over this now, it says food variety +6. That's gonna get you tons of steward skill. So doing that is a real big recommendation. Find a scout, find a surgeon, anyone who has high medicine skill is where it's going to be slotted here. Engineer is not as big of a focus until you're mid to late game. So just to kind of give you an idea and a breakdown of how the party screen works, you can also manage your fiefs through here and any workshops that you would get or any kind of parties that you have set out doing caravans, any garrisons of your fiefs, whatever it is, it's all managed through this screen. You can dismiss people from here, everything like that. It's all pretty much just done here. It's a very cool ability to create new parties so they're out roving for you. Whatever it is done through your clan screen. So moving into combat, I want to go over some quick things. The game kind of illustrates them for you, like how to defend yourself in what certain directions. But if you look at your character, God, my character's so white, he's reflecting the sun. If I press right click, he just holds up block, right? And you can change how your character blocks directionally in the options menu. But if I look to the left and block, he blocks to the left. If I look to the right and block, he blocks to the right. If I hold down, if I look forward, he will block upward. And if I just hold that, he'll block for me. So all these are important because they will block the direction of the attack coming your way. If you do not block the proper direction, like if someone were to swing to my right and I had this, I can just go like that quickly and it'll still block it. But the game will notice that I'm in a left block, so I'll actually still take more damage. So trying to block to the proper direction is going to be a huge learning curve for you. Trust me, it's probably the hardest part of getting into the game is learning how to properly defend and how to properly attack. And with that is the notion of attacking. That's simply left clicking, right? Simple enough. Here you go. And you can go left, you can go right, you can go up, you can go for a thrust. Now thrusting of course is going to help when you're fighting against armored units trying to hit any of their weaker points. You can just slam down someone's face if you're trying to attack from a horse, whatever it is. Varying the directions of your attack will really help you out. But if you time these properly, and I'm not going to be able to do that right now because I'm narrating to you, you can have like a follow through. So basically, if I can do this, it's you want to, there you go. See how you swing it back around your head? The attack is ultimately faster than had I just gone like this. If I try and get that follow through just like that, I'm also changing the direction in which I attack. It's a bit of a feint. So it's like I'm attacking right and then I try and, let me see if I can do this again. It's harder than hell when you're actually narrating something. There we go. There, I see how he comes back around and does it again. This gives you like a split-second opportunity to kind of change that direction so that you can try and get either your opponent off guard or you attack through their guard quicker and it allows you to just do more damage. And timing this is really down to trying to learn the click. It's like pretty much as soon as, by the point that your sword would hit them is when you'd kind of be able to bring it back around. So left click it again immediately. Right as you complete the swing is when you want to do it. Right as that sword swing kind of comes across my left side of my body, then I would press left click again to try and do that resounding swing. Now you can do what's called chambering. If they attack to the left, you attack to the left at the same time and your swords will clink off of one another. And that's chambering because it sets you right up for your follow-up attack. That's extremely hard. I'm terrible at it and I have hundreds of hours in this game. I'm not even going to go through how to do it. But you can also feint a block. So if you're holding left click, you hold it and then just jump immediately into your left click to try and feint out hey, my brown rice is done. Feint out an attack. So you'd hold down right click and then immediately kind of, it's basically like a dance of pressing right, then left, then right, then left. You see I'm kind of switching the way my character's going? It's essentially how it's be done. Right click, left click. It's really kind of wonky. But a feint is really powerful because you'll be able to just kind of trick the AI. They'll go for a block, or they'll just try and attack your attack, and you'll just go ahead and chop. Now, outside of that, you have the capability to shield bash or kick. If I hold down right click and press E, I'll shield bash. It stuns them for a little bit of time. The best way to do shield bash is hold right click, shield bash, and then immediately press left click. If you shield bash and then move forward, your character actually gets a step in. It slows down the actual animation, and they'll be able to block by the time that you can get your sword onto the target, and it'll be very frustrating for you. Outside of shield bash, though, is just simply a kick. So you can just simply press E to do both of these, and you have perks that can make them actually do more damage, stun for longer, whatever it is. But when you are in some early arena play, you'll find that shield bash is crucial to kind of opening up the guard of people that are way better than you. This is just some quick combat basics. I think that javelins and throwing weapons and archery are all pretty self-explanatory. There's no tricks of the trade there. This is the biggest one I wanted to focus on because the game doesn't really tell you about these follow-through swings, let alone feints, let alone chambering or riposte. So just wanted to quickly kind of go over those for you. Moving into some major engagements, I jumped into a custom battle to do this portion, but you have the ability to kind of set up how things work in your army before anything even gets going. It's kind of this pre-battle deployment stage where you can move troops around, assign captains, everything like that. Well, yourself and your companions will act as captains for respective units. So looking on the left here, here's all my active units. We have infantry, we have archers, we have just standard cavalry, then we have horse archers. 4 different units. They're going to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can say make a 5th unit if you want. That is cav, and then split your existing cav by 50%. So now you've got 2 units of cavalry in both 3 and 5 now. I could have changed it to this one if I wanted, whatever I wanted to do. It's entirely up to you. But pressing this little box right here allows you to assign a commander or a captain. And this captain will give bonuses to this unit based off of what they are. So for example, if I have a companion that has very high one-handed weapons and has maybe good two-handed and athletics, all these things, they're going to have perks that are going to give them captain attributes towards their unit that they're commanding. So if he's a really good infantry commander, I would simply click that and they would be the captain of that unit. This character I'd probably make the captain of the cavalry because he's on a horse. And then once you do that to all of your respective units, you now have captains in there. If they have any banners, it'll give them bonuses. Their skills and perks for captain parenthetical notations will give any kind of bonuses to these units, and it's a pretty cool little thing. You can also set everything up, press 1, and you can just kind of push things across the battlefield as you want, pressing the respective unit and placing them as you see fit. I can also say move their formation by pressing F2. I can say, okay, you know what? I want you to be in a shield wall. So now all my infantry is in a shield wall over here. Right there. I can zoom in on this properly. Or you know what? My archers, I'm going to want them in a nice loose formation. So let's go ahead and push that. So there we go. They're in a loose formation. Maybe my cavalry, we'll put them in a skein formation. F6, and 5. I'm going to press F2 to bring up the wheel, then F6. And I'm not sure what this is on console. I apologize. I don't really know console very well. And you're all set. So let's go ahead and before we press, we'll press ready. Maybe they won't move. Cool, they're not moving. Not really. So let's take a look now. I'm going to run all the way up here. They're going to kind of move into formation. But you can see my army over here, and it's got a lot of things I can do. So if I press 1, I'm going to select my first unit, which is my infantry. And from there, I can use this little flag, press left click, and move them. Hold left click and make the line bigger, smaller, denser, whatever I want it to do. Now, this slows down time for you. As you can see, so it's by 75%, so you can do things. What a lot of people do when they're brand new to the game, they press a number that is not assigned. So for example, 7 highlights everyone. Then they just press F6 and the AI will take over for you. All you need to worry about is staying alive, doing the damage you want to do, and enjoying yourself. And if you look at the actual unit cards, you can see their morale, the composition of what they are, right? So I can see 50 archers in my unit 2 with 50 morale. Then below any archer unit card, you'll see a white bar that denotes the ammunition. One big thing though I want to go over, and probably the most important thing here, is the difference between charge and advance. So if I just press, oh, where is that button? That's weird. Oh god, they've attacked me over here. I must move. So there it is. It's an F1 now. So if I take a look at move to position, I pressed F1 and I see this line here. I've got some options. Move to position, they'll just move to that position. Follow me, they will follow you and mirror what you are doing. If you are using a ranged weapon, they will pull out a ranged weapon. If you are using a melee weapon, they will use a melee weapon. So follow me is pretty much just mirror me, do what I'm doing. Now, the difference between charge and engage is going to depend on the unit. If I press charge, they're going to take out their melee weapon and they're going to get close to the enemy and they're going to throw fisticuffs. If I press engage, I'm telling the unit to use what its distinction is to the best of its ability. Here's an example. If I were to use 2 and press engage, these archers are now going to try to maximize their range from something and use their bows and arrows to the best of their ability. If I were to press 3 on these cav units, on the cavalry, and press engage, they will try to use their polearms to the best of their ability, cycle charging in and out of combat to try and maximize their polearms. If they get pinched in combat by another unit of cavalry, then they'll pull out swords and try and fight their way out of combat to start doing more cycle charging. The big thing here, though, is your horse archers. Just press F3 and let them do everything on their own. They will form naturally a Cantabrian circle and run around things, shooting everything to their left. They won't shoot to the right, they'll only shoot to their left, and they will circle around stuff. And they will strategically try to choose targets that are best equipped for what they're doing. They'll avoid other cavalry and they'll try to kill archers in the back line. And if they can, they'll then shoot into any kind of infantry. But horse archers have some of the coolest AI in the game. Let them just kind of do their thing. So that's just kind of the big breakdown of the difference between charging something and engaging something. It does kind of change how the game will really kind of attack and engage the enemy. So you might have been confused about that. For most part, people just press F6 when they're first learning, or they just press F1 and then F3, so they just go ahead and charge in. So wanted to kind of quickly make that distinction so you have an understanding of how the battlefield works and a good way to approach it for all of your different unit types and your captains. So now that we've gone over a lot of different things, I just want to quickly give you some tips on just how to get going in the game, because the game is very much a sandbox experience. I don't want to put you on the rails out the gate and so you got to do all these 5 things. It's the only way to succeed in this game. No, there's so many ways to succeed. You can become someone who's just strictly doing trade by looking across the map and finding things to trade from low capacity goods to a higher demand location. A ton of different ways to really kind of thrive. You can become a blacksmith. You can become a character who is specifically good in one type of weapon. Whatever it is, don't even worry about the way you want to play. But one thing to kind of look for in the early game are these little green helmets. This denotes that there is an arena active and you should do it. There is the blue check mark, which is a quest. You can find them over here as well. Yellow check marks are, I'm sorry, not check mark, exclamation point. Yellow ones are for the main story and also and kind of more pivotal quests. And I would do a lot of the blue ones in the towns. The ones in the cities can be a little tricky for you. They might require roguery or clearing out bandits, stuff like that. So I would say kind of grow into those as you so kind of see fit. And also what you'll see across the map, and we'll talk about the arenas in just a second here, are all these little pictures next to all these names. This shows you the trade good that this town is exporting to its closest city. So I can see that this is primary production is clay, and it is sending this clay to Hassan Folk right here. I can see that Lamisa is making horses, and it's sending them to Hassan Folk, so on and so forth. And this means that anytime you see villagers moving, they'll be kind of taking that route to this city to drop off their goods to trade for. Now, how that can help you out in the beginning portions of the game, try and get that certain overlay here, is that you can take horses from, say, the Azerai lands down here and bring them all the way over to, just kind of find these over here, the Valandian lands, which will have a higher demand for horses. You can take wood from, say, Karbansith location and actually bring it over here into the Empire. You can take fish from all of the Sturgian lands over here in Kargrev, Corsair, all these locations, and bring it down into Britannia, into the Imperial locations, into Valandia. So these are just ways that you can take advantage of being a trader. Even if you don't want to go through trading, it's a really great way to earn a lot of money in the early portions of the game while exploring the world, running around, grabbing new wanderers to join into your party. So let's go back to Hassan Folk here. Let's go into the Tavern District. Yep, looks like they don't have any wanderers, and that's okay. But let's go to the arena real quick. So this, I have the ability now to join the tournament. We're going to click this, and it shows me that given this turnout, the organizers are offering a bamboo axe. When there are more nobles present in the town, the reward pool gets higher. Since apparently there's one lord with renowned fighting skills. So if there's more lords with renowned fighting skills, that number goes up. So you press join then, and right in this location, you can see who's going to be participating, and then the ability to join the round and bet into the round. In the early portions of the game, bet as high as you can and just go to town on this, because right now you can get about 2,000 gold by going through the whole bet process, and then whatever you win you can sell to get even more money. It's a great way to get some initial money, and if you're even if some of your companions win, you'll still be able to get the benefit of winning that prize. So the tournaments are going to be a place that you're going to be spending a lot of time in when it comes to the early portions of the game. The one last thing I did want to quickly go into here is, let me go find, maybe Volstrom will have one. Go to Tavern District. Yeah, so see this guy right here. He is a wanderer. You can click on him and press talk.
Wine here tastes like piss.
And he's got some huge teeth.
What do you want?
But then you say, I can use someone like you in my company, and then you would pay the fine to put him into your company, and he would be a part of your faction. You can right click on him and see, oh, he's a really good bow and riding person, so he'd be a really great on foot bow captain, or someone who'd be really good at being the captain for your horse archers. So there are a lot of different ways to play Mount & Blade Bannerlord, and I've covered them across a lot of different videos. You can find that linked at the end of this video to all of my many guides. I'll be updating some of them. I've got build guides for how you want to maybe get started playing a horse archer or a Valandian knight. You'll again find those in that end of video link to my playlist. But if you have any questions, you're confused on anything in the game, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. The game can feel overwhelming and really hard to begin with, but it clicks way faster than, say, Crusader Kings 3, which takes years to click, but it is a very rewarding experience, and I think you'll find yourself going from just a small amount of gameplay to a ton of gameplay as you kind of learn more and more of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.